L Slide. PCB? They say they too hot. Overrated. We got the game on lock. Regulated. Came in the game with a couple dollars to my name. Had to get up on my hustle just to make a change. I did so many things. I seen a lot of rain. I felt a lot of pain, but it can never change. Knee deep in the game, 10 toes down. They don't want me back then, I bet they love me now. I rode a lot, the party started, yeah, it's going down. Shorty smoking and she geeking, about to crack this 40 ounce. Trap life living.
Oh, hi there. Welcome to episode 8 of Big Red's Kitchen. So today, first of all, I want to say a big shout out to L Sly, whose music you just heard. It's not feeling so good. Hit with a little bit of the COVID. So just make that a warning, guys. Make sure you're safe out there. It can happen to anyone. Anyways, so in celebration, and this actually works real good because L Sly, he's Ugandan, but he's also Jamaican. And what we're doing today is Jamaican, straight from the island. It's gonna be amazing. We're gonna cook us some oxtail. Now, where do you get oxtail? Well, it's a lot easier than you think. I actually used this app called Meatocracy, and what I did is, essentially what it does is it puts you in touch with farmers in the area, and they have a list of all their products. You select what you want, and they deliver it right to your door. So I was checking it out, and there was a specific farm just outside of Moose Jaw, and they're called Country Cattle. And essentially what they did is they dropped me off a pack, and I mean, I have top sirloins, I had New York strips, rib eyes, all the goodness, but also they had oxtail, and I've been looking for oxtail for a reasonable price for a long time. I've seen it at places like Costco, but they want exorbitant amounts of money for it, not worth it. But when I saw it on this list, I pretty much went bananas and I was like, I gotta do this right now. So that's where we're at. We got some oxtails going, and well, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So without further ado, we'll kind of go over some of the recipes the ingredients that we're gonna be dealing with. Now, we are gonna be using a pressure cooker today. If you do not have a pressure cooker or like an Instapot or anything like that, don't worry. You can do this in a Dutch oven or a big pan. It just takes a little bit longer. We're doing this because, as we discussed in previous episodes, if my fiance doesn't get fed on time, big issues for everyone. So we're going to make this a, I don't know, 6-beer cook. And we're going to start right now. It's fancy today. Gotta love that district. All right, let's get to it. So, see how I arranged these so beautifully today? You're welcome. So what is oxtail? Now, oxtail is essentially the tail of a cow, and it is delicious. And so this is what I've got for you here now. Now, judging by the face of my fiance as she stands behind the camera, it's not the most appealing looking thing. Trust me, packed full of flavor, really nice beef. What I did to treat this beef, and we'll do a little montage because this all happened 24 hours ago. So the first thing that I did is I took it and I washed it. Now, everyone always says, don't wash your meat, don't wash your meat. You tell that to a Jamaican person and they will punch you straight up in the mouth, because that is the way that they do it. They wash the meat in a combination of lime juice, or they actually just rub it with limes, and apple cider vinegar or white vinegar, and then water, and they rinse that meat. Now, you also want to take steps in removing the fat when you're dealing with oxtail. Now, the fat is delicious. It's probably the best part of the oxtail, but too much is really going to not render in time. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're cutting off the fat and just leaving a little bit of it so that that renders down when you're doing the cook. Otherwise, that fat is going to make it all gelatiny and gross, and it's not going to be fun for you. So trust me on this. Make sure you cut it off a little bit and get it done. Now, the marinade. Marinade. So some of you guys might know, and you can see it, obviously, Big Red's gone keto. So what we have done is we've made a couple adjustments to the marinade. First and foremost, the big one is we are using stevia brown sugar.
Then we've got harissa. We've got some Jamaican allspice. Some Goya adobo, which I've been cooking with a lot as of late. Shake that up a little bit. And now to the wet ingredients, we've got bovril, which is just beef bouillon, liquid form. We've got soy sauce. And Worcestershire or Worcestershire sauce. And that's it.
And there's two kinds of pieces of oxtail that you'll get. And I love them both, but I'll just kind of show you. So you've got the bigger piece, right, which is got the big bone in the middle, right? And that's probably what you'll mostly see in restaurants when you talk about traditional oxtail when they serve it. Then you got these cute little tail pieces too. These are actually my favorite part because they have, I just like the way the meat tastes off of them. Don't worry, both of it's delicious, but I don't know, it's kind of fun. Love this stuff. Okay. So in terms of ingredients that we have in front of us now that we're going to add after the marinade, again, gone keto, so we've made a couple substitutions. We've got our red onion, some green onion. Now, traditionally, we would use, in terms of a pepper, it would be a Scotch bonnet that would go into this. If anyone knows what a Scotch bonnet is and you saw this much Scotch bonnet, you'd say, Big Red, you crazy. This is not Scotch bonnet. I decided for the sake of my day tomorrow and the bathroom time that I would need in order to process the Scotch bonnet, that I would switch it out a little bit. So what I've used here is a Fresno chili, which will still give the flavor, so like the actual flavor, but not the Schofield's way less. I'd say probably 10% of what you would get with even just a tablespoon of Scotch bonnet. So you can call me names, call me a little pussy, whatever you want to do, that's fine. But Fresno chilies is what I went with. Of course, by now you know garlic. How much garlic, Big Red? A fuckload. That's how much garlic. All right, and then we've got some thyme. Now this recipe always calls for thyme, and it is really, really complimentary to the oxtail, so make sure that you include that. And then usually we would use beans. So, white kidney beans or navy beans are really what you're looking at when you look at Jamaican cooking. Can't do those on the keto, so we're not going to do those. And also carrots would usually be incorporated. We're not doing those because my fiance would literally divorce me if I ever tried to feed her a carrot. She hates them for some reason. It's weird, but that's her, and I love her anyways. They're disgusting. She's looking at me like you should see her face. Might be in trouble. Hopefully this is good. We'll get over it. So we're using some peppers instead. And we're also going to have some green beans going on later that are going to go in there as well. And those are just going to take the place of other beans. But so not 100% traditional, but got to work with the diet. I'm looking pretty good. I'm already down 4 pounds 1 week. I think people tell me that's pretty good. I don't know. All right, so what we've done here is we've gotten our Instapot ready. Hey, Instapot, that's a mention. Check. Invoices in the mail. And, oh, always dropping shit. So what we've got here is some ghee. Keto. Keto diet means ghee, I guess. That's what I've been told. I can eat this shit. And it's clarified butter, so I mean, there's nothing wrong with this stuff. Sorry, did I just swear again? By the way, my mother told me that I was swore way too much in the Halloween episode, and that I should definitely not swear anymore. And well, we'll respectfully ignore her on that, but maybe we should, you know, the children, because I know there's a lot of kid fans out there. All right, so we're gonna take a bunch of ghee and we're throwing it in there. It's just delicious butter. That's all it is. And we're putting that in. We're on the saute setting, so it should get pretty nice and warm. But we're gonna give it a second here. Oh, yeah, you can feel some heat. And now we're gonna be taking our oxtail and we're going to brown it off, and we're not going to do this in large quantities at the same time. We want to give it space, and we're going to do it one piece at a time. Not one piece at a time, you mean like a couple, but you know what I mean. And we really want that sizzle. And what we want is we want that meat to brown, and we want some of the flavor to come off of the meat, because that's really going to go a long way in building the flavor of the broth that we're going to create later on. All right, so we're taking the last of our seared off pieces in here. And what this is doing is that it's sealing in that flavor, right? So searing your meat is a must if you're doing stews or anything like that, because otherwise the meat disintegrates too fast, and we don't want that. So we've got this really, really nice combination of clarified butter or ghee and, you know, the residual of, well, what we call the beef drippings, I guess is one way to describe it. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add this stuff. So, onions. Green onions. Fresno and sweet peppers. That's done. Fuckload of garlic. And thyme. And we're going to give that a nice stir. Now, we're going to let that chill for a bit. I always say one for me, one for you, and that's just going to help deglaze the pan a little bit. All right, so vegetables, nice and seared off. Started the cooking process a little bit, get those flavors released. That's the important part about that. And now we're going to add the rest of our marinade that we had overnight. We're going to add that back in. And now we're going to add our meats back in there. And I can't describe how good it smells in here right now. It really does smell goddamn delicious. And so liquids, it's really easy. We're just doing beef broth. I do have some beef broth from before that I'm going to use up as well. And this might not be a tradition. Oh, look who's come to visit in the kitchen. It's my darling son. Finley, say hi. Hi. He's adorable. We love him very much. But he does have... Oh, yes, you're a good boy. Yes, you are. You're a good boy. He does have an issue with the hours of 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. He's a little bit of a dickhead. But that's okay. He's only 10 weeks old. We're coping. My dog, by the way, at 10 weeks old, knows how to shake paw, knows how to sit. I mean, your kids, they don't even say their first word for like a year. Checkmate, Big Red. Anyways, all right, so we've got that in there. Now, we're going to take it off of the saute now, and we'll figure that out real quick. Here, cancel. That's the one. And now we are going to switch it over to a pressure cook. Now, I didn't actually put quite enough beef broth in there, so we're going to just add a little bit more. We don't need to cover everything, but you need to get it up to a nice level. Just going to readjust some of these meats just to make sure that it's well. There we go. Oh my God. This is going to be so goddamn good. Lid on. And we are going to be pressure cooking this. Now, first go, we're going to give it 45 minutes. And this is where the rest of the 5 beers come in, because we really have nothing else to do while we wait for this delicious thing to cook a little bit. It's going to mix all of the flavors together, and it's going to be goddamn delicious. We'll see you very soon. All right, so we've got this beautiful stew going on right now, and well, there's really nothing else to do here. We're plating. And what does plating entail? Well, it just means getting some meat on the plate and some sauce. The gravy's delicious. And a piece of oxtail with the beautiful broth. And I'm just gonna go ahead and just give a final. I mean, it's gorgeous. Just the nice, fatty deliciousness of that oxtail. And the fat just cuts through the heat that comes from that Fresno. And this is by far the best kind of thing that you want to eat when you come in from shoveling all that fucking snow that we've had in the last week. Anyways, fiance's getting hungry. We're getting stuck in. This has been episode 7. Peace.
What else, Sly? PCB. Catch me driving through the city late night. Stepping on the gas, going fast drive. Good girl, but she with the lifestyle. Got a 9 to 5, but she got a wild side.